Hey everyone, and welcome as we continue our study through the New Testament, looking at the 250 events in the life of Jesus. And today we are coming upon, and basically just kind of covers a section that, kind of a transition piece here. But this is the large crowd start or following Jesus or follow Jesus. And this is right after what we looked at yesterday. We're going to be in Matthew and Mark, but this covers from Matthew 12:15 to 21, Mark 3, 7 through 12, and Luke 6, 17 through 19. Today we're going to be in Matthew and Mark. And if you're following along with us, we're doing this chronologically. So this is in as the best we can determine the best order, chronological orders this happened in the in the New Testaments through the four Gospels. And so yesterday we saw that Jesus had really upset the Pharisees so much that they were plotting to kill him. So we see Matthew 12 verse 15 here that Jesus knew what they were planning, so he left the area. He went on. He said it wasn't his time yet. So we see that right up until this point, he had aggressively been challenging the hypocrisy of the Pharisees, kind of in their face a little bit, challenging them. But here he decided to withdraw. They were planning to kill him. It was getting too aggressive. It was getting too much. And so he's like, we need to die this down. So he decided to withdraw. And while he was doing that, he healed people still. But we see as he's withdrawing that he's healing these people. And he warned them. He said, don't reveal who I am. Again, he continues to do this because he's still he's still got many years, a couple of years left in his ministry, and he's still got a lot of teaching to do, his disciples to do. And so that's why he's kind of trying to slow this down a little bit and not let it get too excuse me, too out of him. And so but as anything like this, someone's going around healing people, the news spread, and so these large crowds still follow him. And then we see a quote from or prophecy from Isaiah in verses 17 through 21, which comes from Isaiah 42, verses 1 through 4, which just shows that who the Messiah was, right? The Messiah was indeed a king, but it illustrated the kind of king he was, right? They were used to kings who were harsh rulers for the most part, very selfish, very, very hard, just in Herod's case, murderous. And so he was a gentle ruler, right? He was one who was bringing justice and mercy. He wasn't there to establish a nation. He wasn't there to establish this country or nation on earth, or a kingdom on earth. It was going to be his kingdom that was ultimately going to be in heaven, and it's a spiritual kingdom. And they still didn't really gather that much. And so then we go into Mark, and again, it's pretty much the same line of things happening. You know, this one in Mark's account, he goes out to the lake with his disciples, and the large crowd following him out. They came from all over, and he's again healing them. The news about his miracles are spreading, and vast numbers come to see him. And Jesus is instructing his people to have a boat ready for him. And many people followed Jesus, right? They came out to him, but they didn't understand his true purpose for coming. And honestly, it can be similar this way today, right? There's some people who follow Jesus like these large crowds did. A lot of it was just for the healing, and a lot of times he served, food, right? We'll see the feeding of the 4,000 and the 5,000, and more than likely he did this many times. It wasn't just a one-time thing. He more than likely he did that a lot. And so they were doing that. And then we also see his interaction here with some evil spirits. And when they would see him or come in contact with him, they would shriek or they would cry out, and they would yell that you were the Son of God. But Jesus sternly warned them, commanded them not to reveal who he was. And that's interesting. We talked about this before. He can tell, he can warn, or he can direct the spirits, tell them exactly what to do, and they obey him, right? They obey him, and so they be quiet. And so it leads to the point of, we can know about Jesus, or we can believe in Jesus, right? We can believe that Jesus is the Son of God, but just that doesn't guarantee salvation, right? The demons themselves know who Jesus was. They call him the Son of God, but that doesn't guarantee salvation. Obviously, for them, it guarantees no salvation. And it's the same thing for us. We can say there's a God, or we can say that we believe that Jesus was here and that he was the Son of God. But unless we truly believe and we truly give ourselves over to him and truly commit our lives to him, then that belief is no good. And so even the evil spirits knew that Jesus was God, but they had no intention of following him. They weren't going to follow him. They were evil. And so we need to keep an eye on that. So we must also follow and obey him. And one of the verses I put in there was James 2:17. If you want to flip ahead and look at that. All right, there's more to Christianity than just confessing and saying, "Oh, I believe that Jesus is God." And I might step on some toes with this, but there's a lot of people who teach out there that, oh, well, you do that one time, you say that one time, and you're good. And we don't see that in the Bible, right? I mean, there's a lot of people who've admitted that Jesus is God or Jesus is the Son of God, but they've not committed their lives to Him. There's no change. There's no, and you don't see any change in their lifestyle. And so you can't just go around and teach people, oh, well, you confess one time and you're golden for the rest of your life. That's not the way Christianity works. And again, this goes back to using in the entire Bible in its entire context, because there's a verse says, confess Jesus as the Son and you'll be saved, right? We know that one verse is there, but we also know there's a ton of other verses around all those verses that say, okay, there's more to it than just that, right? And so we need to make sure we're not cherry picking verses out of the Bible and saying, oh, well, you confess, that Jesus is Lord, so that person confessed it one time, so they're saved. That is not how salvation works. That's not how Christianity works. And we've got to be willing to admit to that and dig deeper into the Word and see, yeah, being a Christian is a lot more than just confessing one time that Jesus is God, right? It's a lifestyle change. It's becoming a different person. It's following who He was or who He is, and so we just need to make sure that we do that. We need to make sure that we don't get caught up in some of the beliefs and some of the easy, what I would call easy versions of Christianity, where it's like, yeah, you do this, you do a couple things here and you get dunked in some water and you're good. And again, even that's right from my background, it's, there was a huge emphasis and huge focus on baptism. But again, it doesn't matter if you're baptized, if your heart's not changed, if you're not really doing it. You can dunk yourself in the water 100 times, it's not going to make a difference. And so it all in the end, it all goes back to the heart. And we see this multiple times where Jesus knew people's hearts. He could read their hearts. He could see what their true intentions were. And that's what we need to make sure that, our hearts are changed. When we accept Jesus, or as Christians who have accepted Jesus, we need to make sure our hearts are changed, that our hearts are in the right place, and that is a true belief in who He is. And again, I've said this before, it's not an easy change. Christianity is not easy. I believe Christianity is simple, right? But I don't think Christianity or being a Christian is easy, and it shouldn't be. God tells us multiple times, Jesus tells us multiple times, it's not going to be an easy life. And so we just need to make sure that we continue to follow up on that and continue to see that, yeah, just belief doesn't get you anywhere. All right, that's a good starting point, man. It's a really good starting point, but there's a lot more to it than just believing. And so we need to make sure, because there's a lot of people out there who believe that there's a God. There's a lot of people out there who believe Jesus is the Son of God, but they don't have the lifestyle or the life to back that up. And so there's a lot more to it, and we just need to make sure that we focus on that. And as Christians, we do our best to try to live that out and live out who Christ has called us to be. Again, so we see the large crowds following Jesus. He's healing people as He goes. He's throwing out demons, casting out demons as He goes, trying to get people not to say who He is, keep it down. Try to, as we would say, I guess on the down low, it didn't work anyway. I mean, this day and age, if we saw that, we'd be telling everyone we saw. We'd be, recording it, posting it to social media. They didn't have social media back then, but man, they were telling everyone that this guy's healing people, this guy's doing this, guy's casting out demons, and they're calling Him the Son of God. And so it just spread and continued to spread. And so we're going to see that, and we're going to see what happens as we continue through this. So again, I appreciate those who are watching, who are going through this. Again, I ask if you have someone who you think would be interested in this, please share it with them. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do that. We're going to keep producing these videos and sending them out. And as always, thank you for watching.